Your chat, I'm sucking on a lollipop right now. So, yeah. That's pretty Sigmo. Cool. Alright, so, let's get to work. So, also, I just realized I kept putting making a 2D game in the title. I'm not even making a 2D game anymore. I'm literally just making, yeah, a 3D game. Also, Big Balls, very good name. Just keep that in mind. Keep that in your mind. Keep it in. Make sure it's logged in. Oh, but yeah. Okay, YouTube Studio, go away. Me on YouTube. There we go. Ooh, that's me. Cool. Yo, chat. Okay. I hope the stream doesn't end. Oh, that's the other live that ended again. You chat. I hope the stream doesn't end. Ends. Lobster tag here. Oh, hell no.
Limited file. It's only numbers. I can't open up any app. I can't open up any app on the bottom. I only can interact with this.
I tried swiping left on that thing on the top right of the screen and I thought it actually worked for a moment, but I would open up YouTube and the ransomware would ultimately overthrow the screen. And even using the phone in split screen would cause this message to appear.
Oh, my phone is lagging like crazy. I can't.
I'm working on a board game, party game called Party Champ, where the players
Oh,
control.
bruh, I'm getting distracted.
Small. So I small.
If you want to make a video game but don't know where to start, this video should help point you in
I'm
the
on
right direction.
episode 7.
Since the last video, a lot of you guys asked me how you can
Bro.
materials and drag our obstacle mat and player mat in there. I think we can just leave the rest here. Let's then correct something that's been annoying me since the last video, and that is the collisions are fixed time step. I'll just set it to 0.01. This means that Unity will more frequently update our physics, and therefore the chance of missing a collision is reduced. This also means that we'll probably have to select our player and increase the forward force a little bit. I'll just set it to something like 8,000, and I played around with it and found that a sideways force of about 120 felt pretty good. So now when we hit play, everything should look and feel pretty much the same way, but it just feels a lot nicer and the collisions are going to be much better. I'm also just going to fix my OCD by setting our player to a Y position of exactly 1. Alright, so let's get started with our UI piece. Creating UI in Unity is pretty much the same thing as creating anything else. We go to the hierarchy, we right click, we go under UI now, and we can select text. This creates a canvas. A canvas is a place to display all of our different UI elements, and a text object, which of course allows us to configure our text. But we can't currently see it anywhere. To have a good look at it, let's switch to 2D mode. Let's select our text and hit F. Let's also zoom out a bit so we can see our entire canvas. Notice that the canvas will resize to fit the size of our game view. This is basically the screen that we can paint stuff on. For a text object here, I'm just going to move it up and put it kind of in the upper center. I'm also going to change our text alignment to center on both the horizontal and the vertical. You can also see that we can size up our text, and if we hold down Alt, we will size from the center. However, it doesn't actually change the font size, it just changes the boundaries.
Lollipop. It's so yummy. Well, that's how you make it thin.
Of our text. So in order to actually scale up our text, we'll have to increase the font size over here. Just make sure you make plenty of room for the text so that if your player reaches a really high score, it's not going to clip. We can also set the horizontal overflow down here to overflow, which means that if it should reach one of the boundaries, it's just going to keep going. Something like this. Then let's change the text to something like 250 just to give ourselves an idea of what's going on.
Wait. Oh yeah. Yeah, it already is overflow.
And I'm going to definitely also bump up the font size some more. Currently, when we resize our window, say if we maximize it, our text is kind of parented to the center. So text will always be a fixed distance from the center. This also means that it doesn't resize. And I kind of wanted to do that. So let's select our canvas and let's change the UI scale mode from constant pixel size, meaning that everything doesn't resize, to scale with screen size.
There we go.
Nice. And I wanted to kind of try and match the height. You can see now that if we maximize our gain view, the font gets bigger as well. And I really like that. I'm also going to take the color of our text and make it completely white. I think that gives a pretty cool faded.
Easy. This or... Guys, what's better, chat? This or... No, I like this more. Just drag it up. Great.
Good look. Finally, for the look of our text, I really hate Arial. It's kind of a passion. I mean, there's a lot of bad fonts out there, but please, anything but Arial. So I'm just going to go ahead and download another one. There are a lot of great font archives out there, Def Font, Google Font, and so on. I'm just going to go and open my browser. I'm going to search for Roboto. This is a font made by Google, and it's really nice, modern, and simple. I'm just going to select this font, click down here, and we can now download it as a zip file. So I'm just going to unzip that symbol. I'm just going to select this font, click down here, and we can now download it as a zip file. So I'm just going to unzip that file by hitting extract all and extract. And now you can just select all of the different font versions. And drag them directly into
I'm gonna do this.
Unity. Voila! We'll also go ahead and create a separate folder for this called fonts and shift select all of them and drag them in there. And it's that easy. Now we can go under our text and change the font to whatever version.
Yeah, it's not that easy anymore. Back when it was that easy. Now we have to go down to font asset creator. Let's do. Wait, calm down. Come on. Is this? How does this look? Ooh, that's really nice. Okay, perfect. I'll use this for score.
Of Roboto that we like. I'm just going to go with something like Roboto Thin. Actually, we might want to make the text black here just to make it more visible. So that kind of completes the look of our text.
Kind of black. True, I think that would look better actually. Yeah, that's way better.
But it's still not updating. I mean, if we hit play, it's just going to be stuck at 250. And I want this to count up by the meter. You could also count up the score by time, but I think since this is about reaching as far as possible, it's pretty fun to measure distance. To do that, we go ahead and create a new script on our text object. I'm going to call it score, and it
Score? Alright, bet. I forgot this is big.
create an ad. Let's double click it. And as always, we're just going to be removing the two using tags up there and the start method. So
okay.
in order to keep track of how far we reached into a level, we need a reference to our player, because our player has a position and we can use that to measure his distance traveled. It's the same as any other variable. We start with public, then the type. Here we could either write game object, and this gives us a lot of information about our player, but we only want the position, and therefore we're going to type transform instead, because remember the transform component is responsible for position, rotation and scale. We're going to go ahead and write player as the name, and now in our update loop we should be able to access player.position.z. And this is how many units we've moved on the Z axis. Of course, we have to make sure that our player starts at a Z of 0, but in Indeed he does. So if we just want to display the position of our player here, we can say debug.log and then insert player.position.z into the parentheses. Let's save this, go into Unity, select our text object and drag in our player. If we then switch to the console and hit play, we should get a bunch of debug.log messages constantly saying the updated position of our player on the z-axis. Now all we need to do is transfer this value onto the UI element, and that's really easy to do as well. Just like we needed a reference from our score to the player, we also need a reference from our score to the text. So again, we'll go into Unity, and whenever we're dealing with UI elements, we actually need to include some more functions. So we'll go up here and say that we're going to be using Unity Engine.UI, and this now allows us to write code for the user interface. We can then create another variable. This is also going to be public, and it's going to be of type text. And this is of course because the name of the component that is responsible for text is text, and so we make it of type text. And we can give this some fancy name. I'm just going to go with score text and close. It with a semicolon. Then down here, instead of debug.logging our position, we'll say,
Bro, my lollipop is over. It's done. I'm getting you a snack real quick. What do we have here? Damn, cool.
score text, and now we can access all of the different
Excuse me.
parts of our text. We can change the font size, we can change the color, and we can change the text itself. So score text.text allows us to change the text content. We can then set that equal to player.position.z. However, if we try and run this, it is going to throw an error. And we can actually already see it if we hover over this red part. It says cannot implicitly convert type float to string. So what's happening? Well, our position on the z-axis is a float number. Remember, float is one of the basic data types. And whenever we want to set our text equal to something, it requires a string. A string is also one of the fundamental data types, and it's what we use to store text in. So we need to convert this number into text. To do that, we simply write dot at the end here, and then to string. And we need to follow that with two parentheses. It's a bit weird that we have to do this. I mean, it's still going to be a number, but now it's going to be a number inside of a string. And that's the difference there. For now, just write after me. So if we save this, head back into Unity, we need to of course reference our scored text. So we'll drag in our text component and hit play, and we can now see the UI updating. However, it's doing so with a very high precision. And I think there's no reason for us to have decimal places in here.
Yo, no way, no way. Let me test. No it doesn't. 900 errors. Excuse me, buddy. Okay, calm down, calm down. Okay. Okay, buddy. Okay, buddy. Okay, bro. You might want to calm down before you see my dark side. Okay. But damn. What am I supposed to do here? Bro. Okay. I'm gonna bring out the big guns. Come on. Shut up, buddy. Rewrite this score using text mesh pro. Hippity hoppity. Your code is now my property. And now let's test. Bro, I'm still getting errors. Buddy, calm down. You just might want to calm down before you see my dark side. It's just the same thing. ChatGPT. You might want to calm down before you see my dark side. Cause you might want to calm down before you see my dark side. Oh yeah. I'm getting. Now let's test. Oh, come on. Dude, that is so not Sigma. That is so not Sigma. Oh, okay, let me test now. Let's go! Let's go! ChatGPT the GOAT! ChatGPT the GOAT! ChatGPT coming in with another clutch! Hell yeah! Oh! Clean! Clean, 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 clean! ChatGPT coming in with another clutch! Hell yeah! So good.
And that's the difference. And hit play, we should see that it displays our distance
Yup.
in meters, but only in whole numbers. Much better. And we can see how cool that looks in full screen. If you think something about your text doesn't look...
Wait up. Shut up, shut up, shut up. Oh yeah, wait, I'm just kind of stupid. Look, you hit this, score stops. That is sick.
super crisp, you can select the canvas and choose pixel perfect. This sometimes can make the UI render a lot sharper. That's pretty much it for this video. If you liked it, make sure to...
Okay, shut up, mister. Ooh, clean, 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 clean. Cold. Cold, 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 cold,
to
cold.
subscribe so you don't miss a future
Next
episode.
tutorial.
Also, in this video, we're going to turn our game into an actual game by making a way to lose. That's right, we'll create a game over stake. Pretty essential to any game, this one included. So let's dive right into it. So let's begin by dragging our score script under the scripts folder just
Guys, give me a second, I'm gonna be right back.
to clean up from the last video. And currently the way we
I'm at. So let's keep going.
Keep track of whether or not we've collided with something is using a script that sits on the player called player collision. And while it makes sense to detect player collision on the player object itself, the player object is not a good place to end our game. That should be done using some kind of game manager. So let's go ahead and create one. Let's right click in our hierarchy to create an empty object. Let's reset the transform and let's name it game manager. Let's also drag it to the top just to make it clear to see. Let's then add a new component and let's call that game manager as well.
I bet. I bet. Manager, 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 game manager, manager. Game manager, crazy.
Let's hit create an ad and this component will be responsible for changing state in our game. It can do stuff like start and stop a game, restart a game, and display UI on the screen if you want a score counter, a game over screen, or transition to other menus like a main menu or a level selector. In our case, we're going to make some code that will restart our game when we hit something, or when we fall off the edge. So let's double click the game manager. The first thing we need to do is delete our two standard functions. Let's also delete the
I bet. I bet. I bet. Alright. I bet.
the two using tags up here. Let's then write a new custom function, void, and let's call it something like end game or game over. I'm just gonna write end game here, two parentheses, and then the curly brackets. And in here we'll do some different stuff. But for now, let's just display a message to the console to let us know whether or not we're calling the function at the right time.
Oh,
Let's write
hell
debug.log and then
no.
insert something like game over. We can then save this and head back into Unity. So now our game manager has a function called endGame that will display a message in the console. But we need a way to access our game manager and call this function. To do that, we go to our player, find our player collision script and double click on it. Normally when we
player collision.
need to access something within another script, we use a reference. You can see up here we're using a public player movement called movement in order to be able to disable our player movement when we collide with something. And we could go ahead and do the same thing with our game manager here. We could write public game manager and then call it something like game manager, then save that, and in the inspector now drag
Yo, wait, calm down.
something like game manager, then save that, and in the inspector now drag in our game manager. And this will work fine in our instance, but if we wanted our player to die at some point, meaning that we would have to remove him from the scene and then maybe spawn him back in, because the game manager doesn't sit on the same object, we would lose this reference. It's actually really easy to show you this. Let's go under assets and let's drag our player in here to create a prefab out of him. Let's then delete the player from our scene and drag him back in. You can see that under game manager it now says none, because the prefab itself is not linked to the game manager, and there's not really a good way around this. So instead we don't use a variable. Let's delete this here. What we do is we actually search for the game manager when we want it, and Unity has a nice way of searching for scripts. To do that, let's go to the place in our code where we want to end the game, which is right around here, and let's write find object of type, and the type that we want to find is the game manager. We also need to put a open and close parenthesis.
Calm down. Find object of deep. And then come manager. This.
The syntax is actually very similar to get component, which allows us to find a component on the object. Here we also use the small than and greater than signs, and inside
I bet.
Rewrite the component that we want. Up here, for example, we could actually replace movement, the reference to a player movement script, with get component, and then make sure to write player movement like this, and open and close some parentheses.
I never understand why we have to do the open and close parentheses with absolutely nothing in it. That makes no sense to me.
This is actually going to do the exact same thing. And it's the same thing with our find object of type. We can actually now just use dot and access all of the stuff under our game manager. We can then write end game, and you will notice that it doesn't show up. The reason for this is not that we don't have a valid reference to the game manager, but that our game manager actually hides this function. That's because it's currently marked as private. We need to instead go in here and write public void, save that, and we should now be able to access it in here. So let's write dot end game, and you can see that it now shows up. Of course, whenever you use
But boo. I just hit my monitor. See.
use find object of type, you need to make sure that you do at least have one object of the type you're searching for, or this is going to return an error. So just make sure you have game manager in your scene. So let's save this, head into Unity, and we should see the variable disappear, but that's alright because we're searching for it without a variable. If we try and play the game now, we're actually going to get some errors. You can see here that it says unassigned reference exception, the variable player of score has not been assigned, and the variable of follow player has not been assigned. That's because both on our main camera, we reference the player and we need to drag him in there, and under our text object that displays our score, we also
Ooh, I bet. I bet.
I bet. I bet. I bet. I bet. That's cool. You know me, know who. You know me, know who. That's cool. You know me, know who. You know me, know who. Yeah, that's cool. You know me, know who. You know me, know
manager in
who.
your scene.
That's cool.
So let's
You know me, know who. 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 That's cool. You know me, know who. You know me, know who. You know me, know who. That's cool. You know me, know who. 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 Yeah. You know me, you know who. Me. You know me, yeah. You know me, you know who. Yeah. You know me, yeah. You know me, you know who. Yeah. You know me, yeah. You know me, you know who. Me, know me. You know me, know who. Yeah. You know me, yeah. You know me, know who.
save this, head into Unity, and we should see the variable disappear, but that's alright because we're searching for it without a variable. If we try and play the game now, we're actually going to get some errors. You can see here that it says unassigned reference exception, the variable player of score has not been assigned, and the variable of follow player has not been assigned. That's because both on our main camera, we reference the player and we need to drag him in there, and under our text object that displays our score, we also have a reference to the player, so we need to drag him in there as well. That's two of the places where we could use find object of type if we wanted to have the ability to swap our player in and out of the scene. I just wanted to show you how it's done. Do note that it is of course not as performant as creating a direct reference as we do with a variable. So let's clear those errors, and when we now hit play we should see that when we collide with something it says game over in the console. But we don't only want to display this message when we collide with something, we also want to display it when we fall off the edge. In order to do that, let's go into our player again, and now let's open the player movement script. In here we keep track
The player movement script. Player movement. Haven't heard that one in a while. No, not for a long, good time.
of the player's position and the forces that we want to add to him in order to make him move. Inside of our fixed update, we can go ahead and add another line. And what I want to do is I want to check if our position on the y-axis gets below a certain number. That means that if our player falls down and reaches say -1, he has fallen off the edge and we want to restart the game. So to do that through code, we write if, then we use rb.position and we access the y value. We then check if that is less.
You know me, know who? Cool. You know me, that's cool. Ooh. You know me, that's cool. Ooh. You know me, that's cool. Ooh. You know me, you know who? Ooh. You know me, that's cool. Ooh, that's so sick. Okay. Actually. Oh, that's a buddy. Oh, buddy, don't get me started. Oh, buddy, don't get me started.
Then, and I'm just gonna hard code in a small negative number. I'm gonna put -1. Let's again open and close some curly.
Calm down, I said. No, if this guy doesn't calm down right now, I'm calling the cops on him. It's that simple. It's that simple. You have to calm down, buddy. He's going too fast with the code. You gotta calm down. What the cops are getting.
Brackets. And if we reach this position, we can do the same thing as we did in our player collision. We can say find object of type. The type we're looking for is the game manager.
Okay, that's good. He's learning. He's not that fast anymore. Good job, Mr. Tutorial Guy. You know me, no who? Cool. You know me. So game mana dash. Game mana dash. Mana dash. Game mana dash.
And we can then write dot end game. So once
You know me, you know who? Cool. You know me, you know who? Cool. You know me, know who? Cool. End the game.
to get easy to the syntax, it's actually really easy to do. We can then save the script, head back into Unity, and we should now see that when we fall off the edge here, we see a bunch of game over statements in the console. The reason why is that we're checking for this y value each fixed update call, and that gets done a lot of times a second, but we actually only want to do this once. We don't want the game to end multiple times.
Ooh, my bad. There we go. Perfect. You know me, you know who? Cool. You know me, you know who? Cool. Yeah! Yeah! Game over! Hells yeah. Oh, game over! Oh, that's cool.
Times. So what we do is go inside of the game manager, and there's a little nifty trick we can use here. All we want to do is create a boolean up here. Remember, booleans are used to store a value that can either be true or false, and we'll call this one game has ended. We'll default it to false.
That's cool, but do you know who? Do you know who? Do you know who? You know me, that's cool. Do Do you know who? Do you know who? Do you know who? Ooh, yeah, you know me, that's cool. So bool game has ended equals false semicolon.
Then in our endgame method, we'll set game has ended to true.
I bet. Ah!
And now we can make an if statement that checks whether or not our game has already ended. So we'll say if game has ended is equal to false, well then we want to do these things. Then we want to actually end the game. So the first use here. All we want to do is create a boolean up here. Remember, booleans are used to store a value that can either be true or false. And we'll call this one game has ended. We'll default it to false. Then in our endgame method, we'll set game has ended to true. And now we can make an if statement that checks whether or not our game has already ended. So we'll say if
okay. If
game has ended is equal to false, well then we want to do
cool stuff. We want to do cool. You know me, that's cool. Ooh, you know me, that's cool. Ooh,
these
you know
things.
me, that's
Then
cool.
we want to actually
Okay, bet. But do you know who? Ooh. Do you know who? Ooh. You know me, that's cool. Ooh. Do you know who? That's cool. Ooh. 'Cause you know me, that's cool. Ooh. But do you know who? Ooh. Do you know who? Ooh. You know me, that's cool. Alright. Bro, why is Minecraft opening?
end the game. So the first time our endgame method is
Get out
called,
of
game has
here.
ended is going to be false, and so this is going to be true. Then we're going to set game has ended equal to true. We're going to show game over in the console, and we can do other stuff like restarting the game. And then the next time it's called, game has ended is now going to be true. And so the if statement here is going to return false, and this is not going to be called. So our game will only end once. If we save this now, we should see it in Unity as well. If we hit play and jump off the edge here, we can see that only one message is displayed in the console. And it doesn't matter whether or not we are colliding with something or falling off the edge, it will always only display one. So the final thing we need.
Now let me try. Let me try, buddy. Alright. Alright, first we're gonna try beating the game, because I'm too good at that. And then we're gonna die to a landmine, because, yeah, I don't know. Boom. Dies. Once, perfect. And then, now let me fall off. You know me, that's cool. Cool. Yep, perfect.
Need to do is actually restart the game, and we do that again inside of our game manager. First off, I want to create a separate function for this. Let's call this one void restart. We then need
Hey, buddy. Buddy, you just might want to calm down there before you see my dark side. But you just might want to calm down there before you see my dark side.
Need to make sure to call this method. We do that by writing restart up here. So now when our game ends,
Restart, 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 restart this, restart this. I bet.
and after we show a message in the console, we're going to call the restart method, which means that in our code we'll jump from here to down here, and everything inside these two curly brackets will be executed. And restarting a scene in
Executed?
Unity is actually
Why are you
fairly simple.
executing him?
First off, we need to go up here and include Unity Engine .scene management. We need to use this whenever we need to change to a different scene or reload the scene that we're already on. We then go into our restart method and we write scene manager, then press dot, and you can see all of the stuff that our scene manager can do. It can merge scenes, load scenes, get information about active scenes. When our game ends, and after we show a message in the console, we're going to call the restart method, which means that in our code we'll jump from here to down here, and everything inside these two curly brackets will be executed. And restarting a scene in Unity is actually fairly simple. First off, we need to go up here and include Unity Engine .scene management. We need to use this whenever we need to change to a different scene or reload the scene that we're already on. We then go into our restart method and we write scene manager, then press dot, and you can see all of the stuff that our scene manager can do. It can merge scenes, load scenes, get information about
Bro, I don't have autocorrect. How do you even get that thing?
active scenes, and some other more advanced functions. We want to load a scene, and the scene that we want to load is currently called level 1. We can see in Unity that that's the name of our scene. But if you have multiple levels in our game, it's not always going to be level 1. The scene that we want to load is the scene that is currently active. So we can actually get the active scene by going scene manager.get.
Oh, shoot. Oh, buddy, don't get me started. Oh, buddy, don't get me started. Oh, buddy, don't get me started.
Active scene. Again, open a close the parentheses. Make sure you have all of the parentheses in here. And we then use dot name. So this piece
No, my hotspot. No, my hood is bodies. My hotspot. Dun, 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 dun.
piece of code returns the name of our current scene, and this piece of code loads the scene with a given name. Everything is done using the scene manager. So we now close this with a semicolon, and when we save this and head into Unity, we should actually see it working. However, there are going to be a slight problem with this. Let's hit play. We can see that when we collide with the block, it instantly restarts, but it looks a little weird. And also, it restarts very, very quickly. We want a slight delay so we can
Guys, I'm gonna go to the toilet. Wait, let me just test real quick before I go. Yeah. Okay, but yeah, I'm gonna go to the toilet now, so yeah, when I'm back, we'll do whatever the tutorial guy says. Alright, bet. Chat. Got ice cream. Chat, I got some ice cream. Mmm. So yummy, right? Mmm. Mmm.
Actually see the collision. The first problem is with the lighting, and it's something that Unity has been doing recently, which is a little bit weird. If we go to Window,
Do I have that? I don't have that problem. So shoot.
then lighting, it will open the lighting panel. In here, we can see that this small checkbox down here is set to auto. This means that Unity will automatically detect changes in lighting and do the necessary processing to show an accurate lighting representation. However, when reloading scenes in the Unity editor, Unity doesn't have time to do these calculations. And so we get a scene with very bland lighting. All we need to do is disable auto, and if the lighting in your scene now looks weird, simply hit build, and Unity is going to calculate the lighting. Of course, this means that every time we change something, it's probably a good idea to go back and hit build. And I normally leave auto on when testing, but if it's annoying you a lot, you can disable it, and you can now see that when we hit play and the level restarts, our lighting looks perfect. However, we still need to code in a slight delay. To do that, we go back into our script, and instead of directly calling the function, we use something called invoke. Let's write invoke, and invoke takes two parameters. The first one, in quotation marks, is the name of our function, which is restart. The second one is the delay, the amount of time before calling the function. And we could definitely just hardcode this in. We could write 2 here and it would wait 2 seconds. But I think it's better to go up here and make it into a variable. This way we can easily tweak it in the inspector. The variable is going to be a public float. That means that we're storing some kind of decimal place number. We'll call it restart delay and set it equal to 1 by default. We can then take our restart delay and put it in place of the number 2 here. So now whatever our restart delay is equal to is the amount of time that we will wait before invoke is going to call the restart method and our scene is going to load. Let's save this, head back into Unity, and hopefully everything is going to be working now. We just need to hit play, and when we collide with something, you can see that we get a second to see the collision, which looks a bit nicer. And it's the same thing when we fall off the edge. The final thing that you might need to do if Unity complains a little bit when reloading the scene is add it to the build settings. To do that, you go to File, Build Settings, and in here we have a list of all of the scenes that we want to include when we export our game. Currently there's nothing in here, and that's not a problem because we only have a single scene and Unity is smart enough to know that that's the scene we want to use. But if you have multiple scenes, it's very important that you add all of them in here. We can just click Add Open Scenes, or you can always just drag them from the project panel. You can see that our scene has a name, a checkbox to say whether or not it's included, and a build index. If you have multiple levels, you normally don't load them by name, but by build index, so that Unity will transition to the next scene in the queue. It's pretty cool. We can just close that now. Let's also take our game manager and drag it under the scripts folder, and that should be it. Nothing should change in our case, but it should hopefully fix some errors if you have any. That was pretty much it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a future episode. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks to all of the awesome people who donated in February, and a special thanks to Derek Heemskirk, Faisal Marify, James Callahan, and Jason Latito. If you want to become a patron yourself, you can do so at patreon.com/brekkies. Thanks a lot, guys. In this video, we create something that's been missing for a long time. That is, of course, a way to complete a level. We'll have a look at triggers, UI, loading the next level in the queue, and the most fun part, animation. Let's go. Let's begin by creating a trigger that we'll place at the end of our level. In this video, we create something that's been missing for a long time. That is, of course, a way to complete a level. We'll have a look at triggers, UI, loading the next level in the queue, and the most fun part, animation. Let's go. Let's begin by creating a trigger that we'll place at the end of our level. Let's go to the hierarchy, right click, go 3D object and then cube. Let's also switch to 3D mode here, reset the transform on the cube, hit F to focus on it. Let's set the X scale to 15, the same as our platform. Let's set the Y to something like 5 and the Z to something like 5 as well. We'll also drag it up a bit. Let's set the Y position to 3. This way it stands on our platform. Let's switch to top mode by clicking the Y axis and switch to isometric by clicking the center. We can now zoom out and drag him to the end of our level. Let's also rename this to something like end point, end trigger, anything you like. And you will notice right now that if we switch back to perspective view, we can of course see the trigger. And we don't want this to be noticeable in game. So let's just go ahead and disable the mesh renderer. You can of course remove it completely. I just like having it here for easy positioning. We'll of course keep the box collider, but remember to check is trigger. And if we go ahead and put a script on this, it should actually trigger, but in the editor it can be kind of annoying if we can't see our object. So let's just select our object, go up here and select the box, and we can actually choose an icon. I'm going to select the green label here, and now even though our object is invisible, we always have this green label to show where our endpoint is, and we can of course click it to select it. Pretty cool. Let's
change the past. So sigma, 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 sigma. So, dibbity dabbity dibbity dabdoo dibbity da poo poo pee 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 poo. Damn, so landmines.
Yeah. Bet you weren't expecting that one, were ya?
Landmines. Such a cool feature. That's so Sigma, bro. So like the cube go like poof, 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 and then you go, and then he go, go. Oh, crazy, crazy. Now let me try to win. Oh yeah, Falling Boy. Folly Boy 2. Folly Boy 3. Yeah, I really like those landmines actually. I'm gonna just duplicate them and just. Ooh, what is this here? That is one here. Ooh, I did not see that one. I did not. No, no, no. So I'll just delete it. I'm so evil. Whoa. Whoa. You gotta be kidding me. Now let me test. Bad. Let me test. The babe. Excuse me. Trying the part. Wow, 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 wow. And level ends right there. Alright. Super. 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 Look at human boy. Sigma boy, human, yeah. Ooh, parkour. Crazy parkour. Oh, yeah, it worked. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Oh, we died.
Let's now create a script that will communicate with our game manager to let it know that we've reached the end of
Oh
our
yeah, I forgot to make aim. Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy. So Sigma. Alright, so. As you can clearly see. Wait. How do I. Stream finished! No, it's not! Ah! Alright, so. It's not finished, you little. Alright, there we go. Let's go. So. And level ends right there. Down. Right. Yeah. Yup. That's me. Super. Do do ba do ba do do ba do do. You can't go back. You can't go back. Oh no. Baby do ba do da ba do. You can't go back.
our level. To do that, we go add component and we call it something like end trigger. Let's say create an ad and
But wait, calm down. Oh, I ate too much ice cream. I ate too much ice cream. Alright, calm down. Alright, calm down there. Okay, calm down. Damn, buddy.
I just found a mountain of baby piglets. I'm definitely going to be taking a few home. There might be like way too many though, so I hope we have room on the boat. I found a sacred pile of piglets. Each one's gonna be about $20, so can someone tell me what's happening right now? Someone tell me what's happening. If you can hear the sound of buzzing coming from this electrical pole right here, that's because on islands, the electrical infrastructure isn't that good. So whatever you do, if you're ever standing under one of these things, don't touch it or bring water anywhere near it. Subscribe. I'm so late, but he's gonna say it, he's gonna say it. Oh. Yo, what's up, Curly? Let's go, baby. One. I'm feeling pain. It's hurting me so hard right now. Every year on my birthday, I get myself a special birthday sandwich. So that's exactly what I'm about to do. How about a Caesar wrap with a cold side salad? Let's feast. Has buzzing. Oh my God! Happy birthday to me. Goal number 1 is done. Only 3 to go, baby. I don't know if my mom's ready to shop yet. In the meantime, why don't I show you what Schmackle team has been cooking? Welcome to goal number 3, the new Schmackle update. Literally every time I open the game, something's different. All right, check it out. We got this beautiful birthday corner by Schmackle team. This is back. So no more big screen announcements. They're gonna happen on this little one. We got these beautiful, beautiful photos of me, like that one. Oh my gosh. Photos of my friends and family. J-Man is lit. The birthdays are going. Gonzalez is dancing. Look at this cake. I don't know about you. The drip machines are here. Now all you gotta do, come up to the machine. We got some music. Oh my gosh. I actually look dripped right now. Guys, there's a lot of confusion about what our weapons currently do in Schmackle, so I'm gonna give you a tutorial right now. Now you can mute the music, which I'm definitely gonna do. Once you pass this barrier, robots begin. Hold down your triggers. Bow. Bow! Charge up your shots. This is freaking sick cooldown animation. Also, grenades are now trigger activated. Check it out. Boom. Legendary. If you want to punch, hold this button, and this button, and bow! And watch this. You can also juggle their bodies in the air. Look at that. Look. Boom, boom, boom! Hey, guys. Goodbye! Yo, that's crazy. Time to go on a punching spree. Ow, bro, these hops are everywhere. Dude, name one Schmackle better than me. Oh, I died. Everyone put W Swoop in the comments because bro got me the best gift known to mankind. This was Scoop's birthday gift to me. Oh, nah. Oh, nah. Excuse me? I'm putting this on right now. Can we go buy furniture, Mom? Hi, Mama.
Hi.
Furniture?
Yeah, let's go spend some money. Bye.
Bye. Our driver here was crazy. This store is very relaxing. Chair number 1 test.
You look really relaxed. You know what? Let's go look at couches. Oh, good night, Julian. See you in the morning. I'll come pick you up.
Oh, that's pretty nice. I mean, my feet hang off, but...
Julian, you're 6'4". Your feet are gonna hang off a cliff.
Let's all laugh at Julian, because he's freakishly tall. It is your fault, actually.
Comfy?
So far, this is the best one. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who is the most Sigma of them all? It was me all along. All right, we need a nice chair that would fit outdoors.
Hi.
It's like a throne. It's called a skywalker.
Watch your watch your head. Oh, no way. We'll take 2. 1 at each end. You can look at each other and play footsie.
We're great friends.
That's so cool. Yay. You want the camera? I want it.
22 years old. I think we found a good table.
What? I'm not spending $50 on this. No way.
I like this table, but does it like me? All right, first, so recap. Couch, secure. 2 chairs, secure. Pillows, blanket. Goodbye, mother. I ordered a big car. Goals number 1, 2, and 3 are done. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the birthday stream. Happy birthday. 1 and 2. 22. Hey, what's good, guys? Today is May 2nd. I was born 22 years ago today. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 22. I have prepared a little cake for myself. Oh, yo. Take a look at this red velvet. It's upside down. I would have nothing without you guys, the Curly Gang, so I want to say thank you so much for everything you've given me. And let's dig into this freaking cake, bro. 22, baby. Happy birthday to J-Man. Yeah! most amazing year of being 21. We are just getting started, my friends. Subscribe. Happy birthday, J-Man. I just found this baby monkey. Yo, Rachel, do you think it's weird that I think?
Chat, I'm. Oh yeah, chat. I kind of just went AFK. My bad. I started watching TikTok and YouTube Shorts, but now let's work on the game. So he added a script called end trigger. Great, let me do that. Dun da da dun 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 da 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 dun dun da da dun. Da dun 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 da da dun 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 da 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 dun dun.
Double click it. Let's delete our using tags and our two methods. Now just like we can detect a collision by using void on collision. Collision enter, we can detect if something has hit our trigger by using void on trigger enter. Note that on collision enter will not work if your collider is marked as trigger. You need to write on trigger enter instead. We then open and close some parentheses and some curly brackets. Now whenever we hit our
Calm down.
trigger, we need to tell our game manager to display some UI on the screen. To do that, we first need a reference to our game manager. Of course, we could use find object of type as shown in the
Power-ups. Everything. Particle system. Bro, I have so much to add to this game. Bro, I'm gonna make this best game ever.
last video, but I think here it makes sense to just reference it directly. So let's create a new public game manager and call it game manager with a non-capital G.
Calm down. Okay, buddy. Okay. You got that. Cause you gotta calm down, boy. Public game manager. Game manager. Game manager. Game manager. Dun 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 dun.
We can then go down here and write game manager dot, and now we have the ability to call a function on the game manager. Of course, we haven't really created a function that we want to call yet. So now let's go back into Unity and open up our game manager script. In here we have code for ending the game if we hit something and then restarting it, but we also need a function to call if we actually succeed. So let's go in here and create another back into Unity.
White shirt, now blue shirt, now Sigma shirt, yes, yes. White shirt, now blue shirt, now red shirt, now white shirt, now white shirt, now orange shirt, now yellow shirt, now something. Bro, I ran out of colors.
And open up our game manager script. In here we have code for ending the game if we hit something and then restarting it, but we also need a function to call if we actually succeed. So let's go in here and create another public.
White shirt, now blue shirt, now red shirt, now green shirt, now yellow shirt, now orange shirt, now black shirt, now teal shirt, now blue shirt, now I don't know.
Public void. Again, remember the order doesn't matter. It could be up here, down here, and even below the restart method, as long as it's not within another method. So let's write public void, and let's call this one complete level. And for now, I'm just gonna go ahead and
Okay, great. Public void complete level. Oh, my bad. Brackets. debug dot.
Throw a debug.log statement saying something like level 1. Let's save that.
Debug.log.
Go back into our in-trigger script, and now we should be able to access that function. Game manager dot and then complete level.
Game manager dot complete level bracket and semicolon.
Of course, we also need to actually make this reference. Let's find our end object and drag our game manager under the
Easy fix.
empty slot. Now if we hit play and actually manage to reach the end of our level, you can see that it displays in the
Let me see, let me see. Oh snap, forgot about that.
console level 1. This will also display if any other objects collides with our trigger, so make sure it doesn't touch anything but our player. If you have problems with other objects touching the trigger, you can use pretty much the same technique as we did with our player collision to check what object has collided and only act if it was tagged as player. So currently displaying a message in the console is a bit boring. Let's instead show some UI to let the user know that he did it. Let's go into the canvas, right click and create a new UI panel. Let's also switch to 2D.
There we go.
Mode and hit F to focus on it. As you can see, a panel
Actually, we could do that actually.
is basically just an image that currently fits the entire screen, and it will always resize to fit it. Instead of using the default background source image, I'm actually going to go in here and change it to none. This just means that our image will be a blank color. I'm going to make it completely white and remove the transparency by bumping up the alpha. I'm going to rename it to something like level complete, and I'm going to right click on the object,
Calm down.
Let's also switch to 2D mode and hit F to focus on it. As you can see, a panel is basically just an image that currently fits the entire screen, and it will always resize to fit it. Instead of using the default background source image, I'm actually going to go in here and change it to none. This just means that our image will be a blank color. I'm going to make it completely white and remove the transparency.
That's how.
By bumping up the alpha. I'm going to rename it to something like level complete, and I'm going to right click on the object, go UI and add some text. I'm